Presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
The following program is for mature and logical audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
All I know is this: we're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Largely. I'm your host, Joseph Anthony Corsai. Quite the show we have for you today. The stock market is about as red as a fire truck right now, and what did we tell you weeks ago on this show? As soon as the tariffs go into effect, the stock market will start to go down and go red. Don't panic. It's all part of the plan. We got lots to get into today. Topics include illegals deporting themselves. How nice is that? Less work ICE has to do. A new defendant has been named in Ashley Parham's complaint against the diddler, P. Diddy. We have AOC has an illegal alien on her 2024 campaign staff. All that, much, much more. But Ryan, the big news in Pittsburgh sports, it wasn't the Penguins. It wasn't the Bucks. It was the Steelers. And this is going to be a great transition to our first topic. But who did we sign off a trade?
We did. We signed a superstar, an all-pro wide receiver from Seattle, DK Metcalf. This came in at about 9 o'clock last night. I thought we were going to be active this week, but that one caught me by surprise, pleasantly surprised.
Okay, so DK Metcalf instantly becomes the best physique in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, possibly Western Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Let's talk about this, though. So the GM, Omar Khan, he's the guy. He's the guy in charge, right? He's the one that the GM. You know football. GMs are the one that pulls the triggers on the trade. They got to make the trade and they got to sign the trade. Everything. GM's the guy in charge. It's clear that Omar Khan, the past couple of years, some fans might question, but he has the best interests of the Steelers organization in mind. But what if somehow we found out that this trade involved us giving up like multiple first-round picks and maybe other players for DK? And then you find out that the GM wasn't even the one to sign off on the trade. It was one of his staffers using a machine pen to sign the deal. Would that make the DK Metcalf trade null and void? Ryan, would it not? It would have to, right?
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, Joe does the best at taking anything and turns it into, his political talk, and I love it. It's what makes him special. But I see what you're saying. I get that.
And that brings us to the first topic. Oversight Project investigation found that a Biden auto pen signature was used on basically every document they could find. Quote, every document we could find. So the Oversight Project posted 3 examples showing Biden's signature, including 2 executive orders and then the president's announcement that he was bowing out of the 2024 presidential race. And it says the signatures on the 2 executive orders, one of which was signed in 2022 and the other signed in 2024, showed the same signature that included what appeared to be a line followed by R. Biden Jr. So Biden's signature on the document announcing his departure from the 2024 race varied from the 2 posted by the Oversight Project, meaning the one of him bowing out of the race is different. It shows a signature that wasn't as clear as the one on the executive orders. So which one's real? Are all 3 legit or none of them legit? Was Joe Biden forced at gunpoint to get out of the race? I don't know. But following the Oversight Project findings, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, he called for the Department of Justice to investigate whether Biden's, quote, cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through a radical policy without his knowing approval. And remember, audience, the key word in there is unelected. How much news have we heard about Elon Musk being unelected and all these people from Doge being unelected? Bailey then argued that if the widespread auto pen use turns out to be true, these executive orders, pardons, and all other actions are unconstitutional and legally void. So audience, let's think logically here. In what instances is it legal or okay for the president to use an auto pen? Let's be serious, because I think presidents have probably used them before. In fact, I know presidents have used auto pens in the past. So I'm an amateur historian, audience, as you know. Let's take a look at some history first. First, an auto pen, or a signing machine, it's a device used for automatic signing of a signature. Some people, if you think about it, like celebrities, politicians, etc., they have to provide their signatures numerous times a day. Remember the Jerry Seinfeld episode? He has to sign all the checks.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about. Wish he had one of them signing machines. Because of this, many public figures, they have auto pens or employ companies with auto pens to allow their signature to be printed out on demand and without their direct involvement. Individuals who use auto pens, though, usually don't disclose the fact that they use auto pens publicly. It's because signatures generated by machines, think about it, if you're signing a Paul Skeens baseball card or a Paul Skeens baseball, signatures generated by machines are valued less than those created manually, and they're perceived by their recipients as somewhat inauthentic. Let's flash back to 2004. Donald Rumsfeld, he was then the Secretary of Defense. He faced criticism after it was discovered that he used an auto pen to sign the letters of condolences to families of American soldiers who were killed in the, I don't know if that was Iraq, Afghanistan war, one of those wars in the early 2000s that cost trillions of dollars and we got nothing out of. Anyway, it has long been known that the President of the United States uses probably multiple auto pen systems to sign official documents. Think about it. Just due to the volume of things they have to sign, requiring, because I think it's how the Constitution requires it to be the ones to sign. So let's get back to the auto pen, though. Harry Truman supposedly was the first president to use an auto pen as a way of responding to mail and signing checks. Others credit Gerald Ford, though, as the first president to openly acknowledge his use of the auto pen. Fun fact for our audience, Gerald Ford, if you remember, is also the first person to become president without receiving a single vote for president. Lyndon Johnson also used an auto pen. He allowed photographs, though, of his auto pen to be taken while he was in office. And in the 1968 edition of the National Enquirer, it ran a story with a front page headline that said, quote, "The robot that sits in for the president." Interesting. But what about recent history, like the last decade or two? Well, Barack Obama, he authorized the use of an auto pen to create his signature, which he signed into law an extension of 3 provisions of the Patriot Act. Also, on January 3rd, 2013, Obama signed the extension to the Bush-era tax cuts using the auto pen while vacationing in Hawaii. Vacationing in Hawaii. That's because, in order to sign it by the required deadline, I'm sure they would have had to either fly him back to Washington, D.C. to sign it, or fly the bill out to Hawaii overnight. Republican leaders, though, they questioned whether this use of an auto pen met the constitutional requirement for signing a bill into law. However, the validity of a presidential use of an auto pen, it's never actually been tested in court, if you could believe that. In fact, the last time an auto pen was tested in the courts for being used by the President of the United States was in 2005 by George Bush. He asked for, and I believe he asked for and received, yes, a favorable opinion from the Department of Justice regarding the constitutionality of using the auto pen. But George W. Bush did not use an auto pen himself. And that takes us to President Joe Biden. Here's the difference with a president like Joe Biden. Whoever controlled the auto pen in the White House was the president at that time, not Joe Biden. Remember us conspiracy theorists? We've been questioning Joe Biden's cognitive ability while he was the president since day one. Why did Joe Biden drop out of the 2024 presidential election? Did we ever get an official answer on that? They never said it out loud, but it was because after the debate, you could not see, I should say, the fact that this guy just wasn't with it mentally. Let's be real. He belonged in a nursing home. I'm fine. I'm fine with Obama using an auto pen so he could stay in his birthplace, yawn, of Hawaii. I would be fine with Bush Trump, even if Kamala was president, using an auto pen in certain instances. But not Joe Biden. Never Joe Biden. Never Joe Biden. This could be the biggest scandal in the history of American politics. It's possible that everything President Joe Biden signed is illegal. Fox Digital did something. Fox News Digital, they examined more than 20 Biden-era executive orders documented on the Federal Register's office between 2021 and 2024, and they found each had the same exact signature. Does that mean every signature of his used an auto pen? Again, who had control of the auto pen? It's only a big deal because of what we saw for 4 years with Joe Biden not being there at all. Look, if it was an auto pen used to sign official documents, how do we know it was Joe Biden and not some form of shadow government? Do you not remember 2017 through 20 when Trump was a puppet of Putin? We didn't know if he was doing Putin's bidding. Well, we don't know whose bidding Joe Biden was doing because he wasn't even signing the orders. And it's not like this is just all thrown on us now. There have been hints for months, for years. You know, CNN put on an entire article about Joe Biden using an auto pen in I think it was May, less than a year ago. Let me read the headline. From CNN, Biden signs 1-week FAA extension via auto pen. Oh, wow. The FAA, 1-week extension. What are the odds of that? Anyway, this is from the article. The use of the auto pen, which was first used by President Barack Obama to sign legislation, has been a rarity in the Biden administration. The White House has gone to great lengths at times to fly physical bills to Biden when he's traveling abroad. This includes a $40 billion Ukraine aid package the president signed while in South Korea in 2022 and a 2022 bill to avert a government shutdown while the president was on vacation. What a lie. CNN, no surprise. Again, this article is from last year, and it says Biden using an auto pen has been a, quote, rarity. So in the article, CNN goes on to explain how President Biden used the auto pen to sign FAA filing extension. Sure, fine, whatever. But they say it's a rarity. And then we get hit with this, that every single signature is the same. So again, why were they lying about it? Why do they need to throw that in that it's a rarity? Strange. Again, House Oversight Project. The Biden administration used an auto pen or auto pen signatures on most official documents. That's a far cry from it being a rarity. Also used the same auto pen signature except for the announcement that the former president was dropping out of the race last year. It's just weird that that's the one that's different. Maybe, is that the one that was forced on him? Did he have a gun in his ribs saying you will drop out of this race? Who was holding the gun in his ribs? I have so many questions. This auto pen thing is a big deal. Remember, only because it's Joe Biden. If it was your grandfather in a nursing home that couldn't have power of attorney, would you want him signing over anything? No. Let's think back to, is this another CNN article? No, this is from the New York Post. I had to look this up too. I remember hearing this. This is from January 18th of 2025. Biden, so not that long ago. Biden insisted he didn't sign executive order just weeks after doing so, Speaker Johnson reveals. And it goes on to say, President Biden had no clue whether or not he signed a critical executive order during a conversation last year with Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, who admitted he left the meeting fearing the nation is in, quote, serious trouble. Johnson told the Free Press Barry Weiss he didn't believe Biden was lying, but he was left to believe the then 81-year-old leader genuinely didn't know what he had signed. The troubling encounter happened in the Oval Office in early 2024 when the two met to discuss the latest aid package for Ukraine. Afterwards, Johnson asked Biden why he had linked an executive order pausing now new permits for American liquid natural gas exports to European allies, a crucial issue for his constituents in the Bayou State, which in 2023 handled 61% of the nation's exports. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine, you understand that you are fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him now, Johnson said he told Biden. Biden was stunned. Johnson said. I didn't do that, the president said, according to Johnson. Sir, you paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, our national security. Again, this guy has no idea. Imagine if Trump acted like this for one day, what the media would be like. Crickets. You heard nothing but crickets the past 4 years. A president with dementia using an auto pen to sign executive orders, to sign pardons for his son that go back to 2021, to sign 2012, or 2014. I can't remember the date. It doesn't matter. Fauci's went back to the same date. Oh, it's weird that he has dealings in Ukraine with biolabs and stuff too. Again, this is out of control. This is a bigger story than I think people know. An auto pen. Like I said, think of it's football. Think of the Steelers trade away 10 draft picks for DK Metcalf. And you find out, hey, it was a staffer that did that because he really liked DK Metcalf on his fantasy team. You know? All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, though, a former illegal immigrant, he was an aide on AOC's campaign. How does that happen? What is the process for applying for that job? I don't know, but stay tuned. Listen to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
If being well educated is important to you, then you need to get to Friendly Federal Credit Union now. This is Cindy Hilario. Besides helping to educate you and your family about managing money, we also help educate the future generations of Beaver County.
It's true. Right now, applications for the annual Carl D. Ross and Anthony S. Payne Memorial Scholarships are now available. 2 $1,000 scholarships are awarded every year to help fund education for our local members. Click friendlyfcu.org or visit Friendly Federal Credit Union for more information or to apply.
Learn more, get it, about what your credit union can do for you. Visit the place that makes more sense for you. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. First segment, we were solely talking about the auto pen that the Biden administration, and I say the Biden administration because collectively as a whole, I think they were running the country, or someone above them, who knows, but an auto pen was supposedly used to sign nearly every single executive order, pardon, everything. And the only thing that was different, the only signature that was different, shockingly, when he announced, Joe Biden, that he was leaving the race. Strange. All right, let's get on to our next topic, our second topic of the day only. I guess we could count the Steelers trade as the first topic. So this is the third topic. All right. Former illegal immigrant aide to AOC self-deports back to Colombia amid questions about his employment. So an illegal immigrant who once worked for Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's campaign, he self-deported, like I said, back to Colombia. Diego de la Vega. It's a nice name, actually. He was born in Quito, Ecuador, and migrated to the United States as a 7-year-old in 2001 on a visitor's visa that he overstayed. De la Vega became politically active after witnessing the failure of the DREAM Act in 2010. When the bill fell through, when the bill fell through just 5 votes short of the Senate, he knew it was his time. He started organizing for immigrant rights, first as a communications worker in the New York State Assembly, then for Make the Road New York, an immigrant rights organization. Diego's first major victory came in 2021 when, as a digital organizer for Make the Road, he helped secure, audience, sit down, because as I read this, please, because I don't want you to faint. He helped secure a $2.1 billion with a B fund that provided, this is where I really hope you're sitting down, $15,000 relief checks to undocumented workers excluded from the federal pandemic aid. $15K? $15K? That's more than what I got. What about you, fellow citizens? What did you get? 2.1. Let me make sure it's just not 15,000 checks. It was 2.1 billion divided by $15,000 worth of. I'm sure some of that money was raked to the side, if you know what I mean. But $15,000 relief checks to undocumented workers? Ryan, what did you get? A couple checks for $600?
That was about it, yeah.
And then you got if you were on unemployment, you got that extra $200, what it was. As soon as, 2021 came around, they axed that.
It certainly wasn't anywhere close to $15,000.
Would you rather have $700 a week or would you rather have $15,000 cash right now?
Oh, right? There's a lot of math in that, Joe.
Well, I mean, I'll take the $15K cash. And you know what? I'll invest it myself.
Okay, I see what you're saying. My fault. Yes.
But remember, this is 2021 still, though. And this guy secured who's illegal here illegally, 2.1. I can't secure 2.1 billion. I'm an American. Maybe I should go talk to St. Barnabas and see if I can pull it off. Jeez. So remember, this is still 2021. But that happened in 2021, and it must have caught some eyes. His work didn't go unnoticed because within a year, he was hired. This illegal immigrant was hired by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's reelection campaign. And that's where he eventually became her deputy communications director. A person here illegally is the deputy for communications for someone running to be a congressman or woman. Let's call this what it is. An illegal alien is cozying up and getting in the inner circle of a U.S. congresswoman. Remember, she was already a U.S. congresswoman whenever he was with her. AOC hired I don't know if Colombian or Ecuadorian, regardless, a Colombian illegal as a campaign aide and paid him, audience, I still hope you're sitting, almost $100,000 a year while he was living here illegally at the taxpayer's expense already. How did this guy, Ryan, when you applied here, did you not have to give a social security number?
Oh, absolutely.
How did this guy get a social, how did he pass a background check? Why is AOC's campaign, why is AOC in general, why is she not fined into oblivion like every other business owner who hires illegals would be? $94,000 a year, I think he made. $94,000. This communications director who's here illegally, $94,000 of your taxpayer dollars. AOC needs to be looked into. I don't care. Do it today. You know what, Ryan? Play the audio. This is the appropriate time right now to repeat the saying that, quote, no one is above the law over and over and over again. Right now, play the audio whenever you get a chance, Ryan.
No one is above the law. No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law. Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law. No one is above the law. No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law, especially a congresswoman who hired an illegal alien after he received $2.1 billion and gave out $15,000 checks to other illegals. Why did he self-deport anyway? Why did he run? Could it be because he did something more criminal than just enter the country illegally or stay in the country illegally? Trump, if you're listening right now, President Trump, you have the opportunity to do the best and funniest thing ever. Extradite his ass back here to answer some questions. Right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Extradite him back here right now. AOC's campaign aide being an illegal alien, that's bad enough. But the fact that this guy before that used his position and gathered up $2.1 billion and gave it out. And it was his first successful thing in the country, was giving money, taxpayer money probably. I don't think it was taxpayer money, but regardless, money to other illegals. This kind of abuse of power and disregard for our laws is exactly what's wrong with our system. It's how Trump got elected. So please, unveil more of this. This guy's making $100K a year from AOC's campaign. He got people that were here illegally in this country. He got them. Some of them could be murdered. Some of them, as Trump would say, are fine people, I'm sure. But some of them could be murderers. Some of them could be rapists. Some of them could be no good to our country. And he's giving them checks for $15K when they should have gotten nothing. And the media is giving him friendly interviews and writing cool stories about him. Listen to this quote by him after self-deporting. I think it's from Immigration Insider, maybe is the outlet. "I don't have to live in the shadows or constantly worry about paperwork. It feels fulfilling to be home." Good. Now stay there this time. Don't come here on vacation and overstay your visa. Please, please. This is sickening. Absolutely sickening. $2.1 billion. I've never gotten close to $2.1 billion in anything. And this illegal aliens are just an NGO. Wow. Wow. It's amazing. All right. Speaking of illegals, Ryan, remember Jasmine Crockett, the congresswoman from Texas?
I do.
She's had some
Yes.
interesting sound bites the last couple of days. She had one the other day. She said that, quote, entering the country illegally is not a crime.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to play the audio. But before we actually just play the audio and then I'll rant.
It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime, which is why they're so frustrated, because they really want our local law enforcement to go out and round up people when they could be looking out for the murderers and the sexual abusers as well as the robbers. They want them to go and round people up on civil accusations.
Again, it's not a crime to enter the country. The key word is illegally. That's the key word. If you take out illegally, it's not a crime to enter the country. It's not a crime to enter the country. It's not a crime to enter the country illegally. And this woman was elected to Congress again. She makes AOC, I guess, look like an Einstein. Jeez, this Jasmine Crockett, she has to go. But not into the 2026 midterms. Come the 2026 midterms, we have to vote her out. If we get rid of someone like her, that means that across the nation, we are picking up so many other seats, because it would prove that the American people, they just don't want this. Put this woman in the spotlight and let's make the people choose in 2026. Give her as much airtime as she would like. Please. Please. Speaking of illegals, how funny is this, audience? The Trump administration has just turned the insane buyer era CBP-1 app. Remember the cell phone app, Ryan? The CBP-1 app?
Yes. Yeah.
They turned it into a self-deportation app called the CBP Home that drops today. And this is from Rapid Response 47X. Illegal aliens can self-deport the easy way, or they can get deported the hard way. The good news is that the rebranded CBP Home app makes self-deporting simpler than ever. Whoever is running the Rapid Response 47 account on X, hilarious. Did you see what the Venezuelan president came out and said? I think this is either over the weekend or last Friday, maybe. I don't even know. Venezuelan President Maduro, he's kind of admitting now that the Biden administration pressured him to release the Tren de Agua gang members in the United States. So, audience, is Maduro turning on Biden right now, or the deep state, whatever you want to call them, by telling the world and telling us that he was told to release these illegals? Again, this is the gang from Colorado. This is the gang, one of the gangs that was taking over apartment complexes. And how'd they get here? They were flown into here, remember. I want to hear more about this Maduro guy, what he has to say about this. This is interesting. Again, he's saying that the Biden administration, the Biden auto pen, we'll call them, the Biden auto pen pressured him to release the Tren de Agua gang into the U.S. The pen is mightier than the sword, apparently. There you go. This is just wild stuff here happening across our country. All right, let's see what Marco Rubio put this out about USAID. There were giant final cuts. So Marco Rubio says, after a 6-week review, we are officially canceling 83% of the programs at USAID. The 5,200 contracts that are now canceled spent tens of billions of dollars in ways that did not serve, and in some cases even harmed, the core national interests of the United States. In consultation with Congress, we intend for the remaining 18% of the programs we are keeping, approximately 1,000, to now be administered more effectively under the State Department. Thank you, DOJ, and our hardworking staff who worked very long hours to achieve this overdue and historic reform. Ryan, they probably could have cut more. 83% gone. 83% of that money was just being wasted and laundered away. Now, not only are we saving money, I believe, with this 83%, but someone's losing money. Criminals are losing money, already lost money. Imagine if you're a criminal and you go from making 100% of your profit to 17. What's the next step? You start to maybe do some crazy things. This is why I think in the future, when we talked about this in late December, early January, what a Trump administration would look like. What did I say? The first 6 months are going to be key. It's like the World War II with Japan. Japan had 6 months to win that war against the United States or do something, and after that, it was fighting a losing battle. The deep state, I don't want to call them the Democrats because there's some Republicans in there too. I think they have like 6 months, and I think they're going to start to make some crazy moves here in the future. You already see the Democrats, the EU, our media, they tanked the Ukraine mineral deal. You already see they're doing some crazy things. Now their funding, or at least a good portion of their funding, is cut off. What is the next insane thing you're going to see? Does it make sense why we have less riots this year with Trump? All the money disappears.
Yeah.
Politico goes bankrupt, and no more writing these ridiculous stories about wokeness and stuff like that. And there's no more riots. There's no more summer of love. I mean, we still got a few months here, but every single protest is like it's like a joke.
Compared to what we've seen in the past, absolutely.
We could do better. We could do better protesting.
Yeah.
The Penguins regular season record right now. It's ridiculous. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to cover some foreign policy. Stay tuned. Listen to Thinking Logic here on 99.3 FM WBVP. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today.
Tri-State Sporting Arms on Main Street in New Brighton is now open. Stop in and explore their extensive selection of high-quality firearms, pistols, and accessories. Tri-State Sporting Arms also pays top dollar for used firearms. Their experienced and highly trained staff is here to assist you in selecting the right firearm for you. Stop on down to Beaver County's newest firearm store, Tri-State Sporting Arms, at 807 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, or check them out on Facebook.
Tune in to Driving in the Fast Lane with Frank Sparks on 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, Monday through Friday from 6:30 to 9 a.m. Frank will talk about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There's also music to get you started for the day. The show is brought to you by Patriot Home Care. So set your radio dial to 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. We're streamed live on BeaverCountyRadio.com, so you can listen every morning on Beaver County Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically, brought to you by one of our favorite sponsors, So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing. Remember, whether you need your house washed, your driveway clean, your patio done, fences, gutters, you name it, call Dave from So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing at 724-252-4489. That's 724-252-4489. They're fully insured and offer free estimates. So what are you waiting for? Don't be the outcast in your neighborhood with a dirty Decker house. Call So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing today. Again, the number is 724-252-4489. Ryan, what a wonderful, beautiful day outside.
Oh, you ain't kidding, Joe. I tell you what, I was expecting it to be a little bit warmer today. It feels great. By the end of the week, I'm seeing 70 at the...
I need days like this because my skin is not used to the sun yet.
You're right.
And it's like dries it out.
Yes.
It's crazy. Like I hate putting moisturizer on. I'm gonna have to go and put moisturizer on. I can't wait. I can't believe I'm saying this. I can't wait to be able to cut my grass.
Yeah.
I need something to get my mind off of this and just focus on music for an hour as I cut my grass.
Right.
And that music selection would be my first song when I cut grass, Al Green. And that's our next topic. Al Green, remember him from last week and from State of the Union? He says that he was removed from Trump's joint address to Congress because of racism. I'm not even going to play the audio. He was on the Breakfast Club, and he brought up civil rights in the South. Look, I don't know what to say. He's beating a dead horse. He stood. What does racism have to do with what he did? I don't understand. Are you shocked that he's playing the racism card, though? Seriously. I mean, he stood up, interrupted everyone, pointed his cane over and over again at the President of the United States. They said, stop. He didn't stop. They said, please stop. He didn't stop. They said, Nancy Pelosi, can you ask him to stop? He still didn't stop. They said, Nancy Pelosi, can we please throw him out? She didn't say anything. They escorted him out. And that's racism? Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me?
It just shows you how far we're off here, Joe. I mean, come on. This is, a seemingly intelligent person. He's in, big profile position. This is what the party is, and it's unbelievable. It's not right. That's crazy. That's crazy.
He was removed not for racism.
Not at all.
For another R word. For being... we won't even say it. I'm serious. What do you want me to say? He acted like an idiot.
Going on and acting like an idiot's one thing, but going around and justifying it by saying that it was racism, that's pretty bad.
Speaking of race, though, I'm going to say this for the force, and we're just going to cover it now. Crews have been deployed to Black Lives Matter Plaza outside the White House to dismantle it. And there are reports now suggesting this could be renamed to Liberty Plaza, and it might take 6 to 8 weeks, but yes, it's going to... Remember Black Lives Matter Plaza?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know that was honestly still the name. If it's the official name, what it is, I don't know. But the civil rights attorney, Ben Crump, he always defends anyone that has a civil rights issue or any young black man that's killed by a white police officer. Ben Crump defends. He says D.C. is erasing history by removing Black Lives Matter Plaza, once a powerful symbol amid pressure. This decision ignores the fight for racial equality and the millions who are inspired by its message. We must keep pushing for change. I don't even know what to say. Why did we rename it Black Lives Matter? Was it because of George Floyd? I never understood that George Floyd thing, how I couldn't get a funeral if I died during COVID. Your loved one couldn't get a funeral during COVID. But we had 3 borderline state funerals with gold-plated caskets for George Floyd. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. Because he was killed by a white police officer. We're going to dive into this George Floyd thing in a couple weeks. Give me time. I read the autopsy report. It's publicly available information. You're not going to believe what's in it. His cause of death. It's not asphyxiation. That's all I'll say. He had something in his system. All right. Let's get to some more topics here. Radical Islamic extremists. Ryan, have you seen this on Twitter, on X, anywhere?
Well, what are they up to now?
They're rounding up and murdering Christians in Syria.
I did, unfortunately, yes.
It's not funny. It's not funny at all. Anytime I think of Syria, though, for some reason, it immediately goes back to that blonde woman in CNN and the staged prisoner being found in Syria.
Oh, wow.
That?
Yeah.
That got a lot more attention than Christians getting killed. And I believe some of them are being crucified in Syria.
There's videos available. It's not pretty.
It's not pretty at all. And again, we have a president. Well, we had a president, Joe Biden, did nothing for 4 years. Middle East was on fire. Wars break out everywhere. Then we have President Trump. What do you think his position is on Syria? How would he handle it? Well, it's funny because 10 years ago, he was interviewed and asked this exact question. And Trump predicted exactly what would happen today, 10 years ago, if we backed the rebels or if anyone backed the rebels over Assad. Ryan, play Trump from 10 years ago, please.
So I've watched Assad, and I've watched a little bit on the other side. The problem is the other side of Assad, we have no idea who they are. They probably are ISIS. I'm saying, are we better off with Assad? We have no idea who these people are. We give them weapons, we give them ammunition, we give them everything. Aaron, we have no idea who, I mean, maybe it's worse than Assad. So what are we doing? Why are we involved? We have to get rid of ISIS, very importantly. But I look at Assad, and Assad, to me, looks better than the other side. And, you know, this has happened before. We back a certain side, and that side turns out to be a total catastrophe. Russia likes Assad seemingly a lot. Let them worry about ISIS. Let them fight it out.
That should be played. That should be mandible hearing for everyone in this country to play that clip from 10 years ago because he is he's spot on. It's like he's had a time machine, like we said, and travel back in time and always has the correct idea or the correct. I just don't understand. There's no reason, and there never was any reason for us to get involved in Syria. I do wonder, however, though, if we funded some of these groups that overthrew Assad via USAID, via our CIA, via a lot of other outlets. Audience, are you ready to have your mind blown? For years, since 2015, probably a decade, our media told us that Assad was no better than Adolf Hitler. Assad was a person that wanted to have an ethnic cleansing. It looks like in reality, though, Assad, when he was president of Syria, he protected all the religions. I'm not calling him a good guy, don't get me wrong, but it appears that he was better off for Syria in the world than whatever's going on there now. And I wonder, who backed these rebels to get them to throw out Assad? Audience, do you remember what happened to Tulsi Gabbard when she spoke out about Syria? She was destroyed by our media. I think they even put her on a watch list because of that. Again, all goes back to 2014-15 and Obama's red line. Even he didn't want to get involved in Syria. Obama knew it wasn't our fight. It wasn't a good fight. Why? All right, let's move to our neighbor up north, Canada. Their Liberal Party elected Mark Carney as the new leader to replace Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. Now, Canadian politics and elections are way different than Americans, so bear with me here. But in my opinion, Mark Carney is just another World Economic Forum puppet. Good luck with that one, Canada. I don't even know if this guy's ever been elected actually to anything. I think the Liberal Party in Canada just brought him in recently. The only thing he's ever been governor of is the Bank of England. And that's not a joke. I mean, like I said, I don't really understand or know Canadian politics, but it looks like this guy is a globalist banker that's never been elected. He's just been selected. He was appointed, not elected, but you don't get elected for that. He was appointed as the United Nations Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance in March 2020. Wow, that's amazing timing. Carney now becomes the first prime minister in Canada, in Canadian history actually, to not have previously held a seat in the House of Commons. Donald Trump did something kind of similar, I guess. I think, though, like I said, I don't understand Canadian elections and politics. I think there will be another election this year. I think Carney just replaces Trudeau, and they actually have to hold an election because the Liberal Party was in power, so they just replace Justin Trudeau maybe. Again, I don't know. All right, let's get to Ukraine. J.D. Vance, before we get to this, over the weekend was confronted by pro-Ukrainian protesters while walking with his toddler. I think it says his daughter. I'm guessing she's a toddler. He said, today while walking, my 3-year-old daughter and a group of Slava Ukraine protesters followed us around and shouted at my daughter and it made my daughter grow increasingly anxious and scared. He posted that on, J.D. Vance posted that on X. This is on Saturday afternoon this happened. I decided to speak with the protesters in hopes that I could trade a few moments of conversation for them leaving my toddler alone, he continued. Nearly all of them agreed. Vance said it was, quote, mostly respectful conversation, but if you're chasing a 3-year-old as part of a political protest, you're a crap person. Excuse me. Again, you're if I saw Kamala Harris and tried to track her down while she was with her kid, I would have been shot probably by Secret Service. We'll get to that later. And of course, this Ukraine narrative, it's really getting old. MSNBC guest, we need to stand against Russia just like we did with our allies in World War II. Are these people all stupid? In World War II, it was the Germans, the Italians until 1944, and then a few other. Romania was in there too. You know, we could do other couple countries that were minor players, versus Britain, Russia, and the United States, and then somewhat of France. And we're not gonna relitigate World War II history. Ryan, play the audio of this MSNBC guest and what he said. It's disturbing.
The person who's watching, who just heard you say Donald Trump is not standing up for Ukraine. What do you say to the person who says, well, I don't care about Ukraine. I want Donald Trump to stand up for America. What do you say to them?
I don't know where you got that. I mean, I don't have time for it.
Yes, but we hear it. We hear it.
Here's the thing. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in a place where you thought the Russians were the good guys? What part of America did you grow up in where they taught you the Russians were the good guys and our allies were the bad guys? That's the flip here that we need to continue to remind people. The Russians are the bad guys. They're raping women. They're killing children. They're bombing cities. The Ukrainians are the noble good guys. In some ways, they're more American than we are over the last couple of years. And we must stand with them in the same way we stood with the allies in World War II and since this country was founded. This is not just about Ukraine. This is about the core and the integrity of American values. And that's what he's also betraying. Not just Ukraine. He's betraying America.
In some ways, Ryan, Ukraine is actually more American than America. What? This dude knows nothing at all about history. Number one, Russians were the good guys numerous times in history. They were the good guys, I guess, against Napoleon. Were they the good guys against Hitler in Operation Barbarossa? Again, Napoleon and Hitler both invaded Russia. I'm not justifying what Vladimir Putin did with Ukraine, but Ukraine and NATO encroached on Russian territory for over a decade after there were agreements for them not to do that. Remember, audience, the entire reason for NATO was the Warsaw Pact. And now all the Warsaw Pact nations are pretty much NATO nations. There's no reason for NATO anymore. But again, we have to have NATO. And Russia has to be the best. I just can't get over this idiot guest on MSNBC. Does he not realize Americans gave Joseph Stalin and the Soviet Russians the nickname Uncle Joe during World War II? We called him Uncle Joe. Do you know how many single axle trucks we gave the Russians during World War II? Meanwhile, the Germans, they had to move most of their material via horseback. That was a huge advantage for Russia, our ally. Supposedly the good guys, right? Fighting the Nazis in World War II. Sometimes there are no good guys. Sometimes they're all bad. Maybe, but again, what this guy's saying on MSNBC makes zero sense. Zero. None. All right, we got to move to a break. Real quick, though, a F-16 fighter jets, they had to respond twice in 48 hours to general aviation aircraft violating temporary flight restrictions over Palm Beach, Florida. That's from NORAD. And a man was shot outside the White House. I think this is over the weekend. Ryan, is this that little DJ Daniel, the boy with cancer? Did he get someone? Did he get someone? What did he say? I'm going to be on your bumper.
Yes,
People just don't listen. They don't listen anymore. This isn't just empty threats in this administration like Joe Biden. Don't. These are real. We're serious. They're not empty threats. We're speaking softly, but carrying a big stick. Stay tuned. You're listening to Thinking Logically here, 99.3 FM, WBVP.
If being well educated is important to you, then you need to get to Friendly Federal Credit Union now. This is Cindy Hilario. Besides helping to educate you and your family about managing money, we also help educate the future generations of Beaver County.
It's true. Right now, applications for the annual Carl D. Ross and Anthony S. Payne Memorial Scholarships are now available. 2 $1,000 scholarships are awarded every year to help fund education for our local members. Click friendlyfcu.org or visit Friendly Federal Credit Union for more information or to apply.
Learn more, get it, about what your credit union can do for you. Visit the place that makes more sense for you. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
Friendly Federal Credit Union. You got a friend.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here at 99.3 FM WBVP. Breaking news over the commercial break. So, apparently, Howie Roseman, the CEO or whatever you want to call him, GM of the Philadelphia Eagles, has traded Kenny Pickett to the Browns for a box of Cracker Jacks and a pack of double bubble gum, Ryan, I believe. Is that what?
Yeah. He's getting passed around in the league, man. It's 3.
Was this done during auto pen?
I don't know, but that's he's gonna play for every team in the tri-state area. It looks like.
I'm just saying, like if Howie Roseman from the Eagles would have traded Kenny Pickett for Myles Garrett, even trade, maybe with a few draft picks in the draft. When you say, wait a minute, let's check the auto pen situation, make sure, But the Browns make such terrible trades anyway. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe they've been on auto. Maybe they've had the Joe Biden auto pen for half a century.
Maybe
it makes sense. All right. So we got about 9 minutes left. This is a big story for me today because I struggled to get news. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, it was down. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, probably millions maybe, users reported issues Monday morning at 6 a.m., I believe. And then it happened again at noon and maybe again at 3. I know I was unable to get in my account for most of the morning until about 1 o'clock. Not gonna lie, I felt like a caveman trying to get news. It's very hard. We underestimate how easy social media makes shows like this in just information getting across to the masses. Elon Musk, he put this out. He said, there is still a massive cyber attack against X. We get attacked every day, but this one was done with a lot of resources. Either a large coordinated group, remember that, a large coordinated group, and or a country is involved. A hacking group called Dark Storm Team. Give me a break. They announced on Telegram that they are behind the taking down of X multiple times today. Do you really believe that, audience? Dark Storm Team, the hacker. Remember, for years we were told the only people that can hack the United States was Russia, and now all of a sudden there's Dark Storm Team. I wonder if there are any, going back to what Elon says, piggybacking off him, I wonder if there are any NATO connections with this hacking group. Remember, who has the most to gain from X being down? Remember, it's probably the worst time for the European Union to have free speech there. Think about it. But why did it go down today? Why now? Is there something that we're missing? Is there something that I'm missing? Clearly there had to be some kind of coordination behind this. Why now? Why today? I don't know, but we've seen actual terrorism in this country. We've seen economic terrorism, and now we're seeing cyber terrorism. The question I have, is it all being done by the same group or groups of people? Just saying. Ryan, we've talked in exhaustion of how awesome this White House 47 account is, this Trump team is, how they clap back, as you can say. It's like getting in like arguments in high school. Getting like,
yeah.
I love, let me read you what Michael Moore said and then how the White House responded.
Okay.
Michael Moore says, who's really being removed by ICE tonight? The child who would have discovered the cure for cancer in 2046? The 9th grade nerd who would have stopped that asteroid that's going to hit us in 2032? Do we care? White House responded by saying this, Ryan, in audience. Michael Moore is free to visit the quantum computing and particle physics lab that MS-13, TDA, and the cartels are now going to have sent back to El Salvador, Venezuela, and Mexico. I mean, sir, stop the asteroid.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop a train. They couldn't stop a bullet. They can't. Well, maybe they could stop a bullet, but they can't stop anything. They're going to stop cancer and an asteroid. How about stop being illegal here illegally?
You're
Start
right.
there. Oh my Lord. This just keeps on getting better and better. Breaking. NFL wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has been named as a defendant in Ashley Parham's amended complaint against P. Diddy. Again, I don't know where this is going to go, but by the way, isn't OBJ dating Kim Kardashian or no?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't keep up with the Kardashians.
Me neither, but how deep does this go? Odell Beckham Jr. I don't know. I want to get more information on the Diddy stuff. I can't wait till that comes out. Are we gonna have like an actual? It's a federal trial, so we'll never be able to get in the courtrooms anyway with Diddy. But, jeez. Okay, former President Barack Obama, he sat courtside at a LA Clippers game Wednesday. You know who wasn't there though?
I did see this, but I don't want to ruin it. Yes, I know.
Big Mike.
Yeah. I seen
Big
that.
Mike was not there. I don't know how that works. Are they getting divorced? Is he dating Jennifer Aniston? Went through all the rumors this year. Is he running in 2028 against Trump? What's going on? Look, I would say it's not that unusual for a guy to go to a sporting event without his wife.
I wouldn't say that at all. I would agree with you 100%.
But his wife's a man. Can we say that on getting slewed for libel, slander? I don't know. Seriously, she reminds me. You ever see the movie? What's it called? Idiocracy.
I have not. No.
She reminds me of Terry Crews' character in Idiocracy.
Okay.
So just look up Terry Crews, and that reminds me of.
I definitely
Michelle
know Terry
Obama.
Crews. I'll have to look that up.
What else? The last one here. Oh no, Bernie Sanders. He had a transgender singer named Laura Jane Grace perform at his rally, in the song. I'm going to try to say it on radio. Does God have a big fat?
What?
And the singer goes on to say, because that's what it feels like he's, with.
Jeez.
Okay. I'm no expert here, but I don't think this is the way to win over moderates.
Yeah, right.
Are they not learning anything at all? Hey, take a year off from the transgender stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe just get to the midterms. I'm giving you advice. Heed this warning. Drop the transgender stuff, okay? For just a year and see what happens. All right, we got 2 minutes left. Senator Chris Murphy, remember, he was just with Zelensky before Trump met with Zelensky. He was caught cuddling on a date with a progressive media publisher amid his separation with his wife. So is this Chris Murphy's new fling? Or is this his handler? Maybe someone giving him information or orders? I don't know. Like I said, I just know that he was recently the middleman between Zelensky and probably someone high up in the Democrat Party that wanted that mineral deal torpedoed. All right, that's about it for today. Guys, stock market has been crashing recently. I have to say, though, anyone making the assertion that this economic disaster we've been waiting to happen for the past 5 years since COVID is unfolding because of 6 weeks of Donald Trump, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. Friendly reminder that Jamie Dimon, he sold basically a lot of his shares in JP Morgan for the first time ever. For the first time in his life, he sold shares in JP Morgan. Also, Warren Buffett, he sold numerous shares in Berkshire Hathaway over the last few months and years. He has more cash. Berkshire Hathaway has more cash on hand than ever. Why? How did they see this? Makes no sense. And in closing, Trump said today, a transitionary period for the economy is likely. And he added, you can't really watch the stock market because we're moving to a new system. We're getting away from fiat money. We're getting away from money that you could just press a button and print whenever and cause inflation. Because inflation is also a tax. And inflation's a tax that no one votes for. Federal Reserve controls inflation by printing money. It's time for our money to be backed by something. What kind of country are we? How can we call ourselves the most powerful nation in the world when we don't even control the printing of our own money? It's got to change somewhere, and it's got to change fast. It could change slow. It could change fast. Either way, the next few months are going to be a roller coaster. And I don't think it's a roller coaster you want to be on, but we've been in line for 5 years waiting to get on this. So we're on it. Nothing we can do. We're riding it out. That's all I got for today. Ryan, anything to add?
No, that's it, brother. Great show.
All right, it's only Monday. We'll be here Thursday, same time, 5 to 6 p.m. Thinking Logically, as always, giving you the news as we see it. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joe Corsi signing off for Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM, WBVP.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas.